It's the Monday Morning Motivator with Magooch. Good morning. It's Monday, and it's a rainy Monday over here, which is why the lights kind of messed up in my office today. Good morning, sales launch coders. How are you? Come on in and join me. So I wanted to do a quick Monday meeting live with you and talk about something that's been on my mind, and I want to share a quick story with you because I think it could help you and give some tips as well. Cool? All right. So last week, me and my son Tony, he's this year he was in half-day kindergarten. So once a week we would have a lunch date out where he would get to choose the restaurant. And we were in the parking, getting out of the parking lot of the restaurant, and he goes, "Oh, mommy, is that my aunt's car?" And I looked at it and this is like this really beat up old Hyundai car, but like the door was all scratched up and everything, right? And I was like, why would you think that was your aunt's car? Your aunt has a white Mercedes convertible with a bedazzled license plate. And this did not look the part by any means. It was a beat up gray Hyundai, and nothing against Hyundais, but this car was not the car that he thought it was. And I said, well, that's not her car. Why would you think that was her car? And he said, oh, because the seats in the back, they come right to the edge of the car like hers. In other words, the headrests of the seats were right on the window shield because it was like a small back seat. Those like whether you have a small back seat and the headrests go right up against. There's no trunk. There's no we have a station wagon kind of thing. So there's a lot of room. Anyway, so this made me think of, okay, so he just turned 6 years old. And it made me think of our definition of success and how it's so screwed up, right? As you raise kids, you get to see life through their eyes, and you kind of remember what life was like before we made up all these rules and all these definitions. So one person's, symbol of success and, that they made it, that they have a fancy car, to a 6-year-old, it's a car. Those cars are basically identical because they have, the headrests are in the same position. And so we've created this definition of success that has to do with luxury brands and spending a lot of money, and this like outward demonstration of success, right? And so I wanted to dive into that a little bit because it's actually one of those things that could hold you back if you subscribe to them. Or actually, if you don't subscribe to them is what I should say. So for instance, I had somebody on my Instagram feed a couple months ago, and I still remember it. I looked it back up to make sure it was right. He commented on one of my posts. He just put under it, Ferrari or Lambo, and why? With a question mark. And I was like, I've never desired either of those cars. And then, when something then is like put in your mind, and I start seeing all these things about, Lamborghinis. And then I saw somebody else wearing a shirt saying you can fake a Lambo, but you can't fake a jet. And I was like, yeah, you can. You just take a picture in front of a jet or rent a jet. Most people that fly private jets rent them. So I'm really confused about all of this is being portrayed into the market as to what, success is supposed to look like, and challenging people if they don't, want those things, right? Or have those things. So here's the thing, like in my opinion, even if I had the $90 million up to $90 million to buy a private jet, I wouldn't, because to me, it's like, it's a waste of energy, and it's really bad for the environment, right? So it's like, I look up the stat, it says a single private jet trip burns more greenhouse gases than the average American does in a whole year. And that was done by the Institute for Policy Studies. So a single private jet trip, like if I'm flying from New York to Miami, right, burns more greenhouse gases than the average American does in a whole year. And private jet companies spend billions of dollars lobbying in DC so that they get lower tax cuts and they don't have to be accountable for this, impact they're having on the environment, right? Money talks. So if you feel like me and you're like, well, I don't want a jet. Well, I don't want a, fancy car. It doesn't really get me excited. To me, it's like, okay, so you have money, but where is your consciousness of where you fit in with the rest of society, the rest of the world and community, and your impact on your community and your environment? Like, where's that consciousness where you're saying, yeah, my time's important, but is it more important than anybody else's? Because that's the main sell of a jet, right? You get some place on your own time. You don't have to waste time in security lines and things like that, right? So is your time more valuable than anyone else's? I guess that whole concept, is one to think about. And then is your time more valuable than the impact that you're having on the rest of the environment forever, right? So if you feel that way, like I do, that people are selling you a vision of success that you don't necessarily want to spend your money on fancy watches or suits, or that's not your vision of what you want it to be. And then subconsciously you say to yourself, well, I don't want that. So then you stop doing the things that would get you the financial ability to do those things. Now, of course, once you have the financial ability, you can choose how you spend it, right? Everyone has their own choice of how they're going to spend their money. But if you're being sold this vision of like, when you make money, you'll have a private jet and you'll be able to have your own island and you'll be able to, spend as much money as you want and have the fanciest watches and have everybody, serve you and things like that. You'll have, a supermodel wife, right? So, if that's not your vision, then you'll subconsciously do things so that you don't get to that position. So you can say, and this is similar to the exercise I did with you guys called, where we said, fill in the blank. Rich people are blank. And the first thing that comes to your mind, right? So whatever's going on under the layers there of how you define success, if it doesn't match what society defines, I'm living in the same world you are, and I know it's, what's being projected out there. So if it doesn't match what, the rest of society thinks is success, then you will subconsciously not do the things that you need to do to get to where you want to be, at least financially. So if someone has a formula that can help you make money, but that formula, then you think that that's going to push you towards a lifestyle that you don't want, you're not going to do those things. Even though consciously you have the ability to choose what you want to do with your money when you get it. If you want to put it towards good, to helping people, to charity, to not destroying the environment, please don't. So it's an interesting topic. And so what I want you to do is really to just take 5 minutes to think about right now, what is your definition of success? And I want you to write down 3 things that you feel like, if I did this or had this, like that would be a definition of success to me. So we want to create your personal definition, right? And without judgment, like, I know I said a whole lot about why you shouldn't want a private jet, but if that's really honestly the thing that you feel like you need, that's going to change your life, change everyone else's life, then go for it. But I would want to challenge you to think about. We talked about in our free training, the science behind why people really buy. We talked about how people buy things for emotional reasons first and back it up with logic, right? So if you're going to buy something really fancy, you can do that, right? But be aware consciously why you're doing it. What are the emotions that you want to feel related to that object or thing that you desire? So is it that you want to feel successful? You want to feel important? Again, not judgment. Like, that's why these things are sold all the time, right? Because we do want to feel like special and luxurious, but at what cost, right? So understand why you want these things, why you're buying these things. It'll help you also understand why other people want these things or buy these things, right? Emotionally. Back it up with logic. Of course, the logic is my time is valuable and I get places faster. Okay. But the emotional, the real reason people buy is the emotions behind it, what they want to feel or how they feel when they board their private jet, right? When they take that selfie in front of the private jet or inside there, right? So think about that for yourself. If you have if you have a list and you're like, well, I'd really like this, I really like this. What are the feelings that you want from those things? Okay? Because they're not just symbols that you've made it, so to speak, but what are the feelings associated with those that you want to feel when you feel you've quote unquote made it? Okay? And then if we're talking about financial success, attach a number to that. What is the number that I would feel I met that financial success? But if you're talking about success in life in general, like I feel like I am a success, I'm doing the things I want to do. What does that look like? How does that reflect back in your life? What does it look like? What are the people that are closest to you? What are those relationships like? What is, your daily lifestyle look like? Try thinking about what is your definition of success. You don't have to create one. It's already there somewhere. You just may not have ever put it down on paper. So put it down on paper of what your personal definition is. And then when you hear people talking about, all the outward symbolizations of success and wealth, and it doesn't match what your personal definition is, you're conscious enough to be able to say, well, that's not the definition I subscribe to, but maybe I can use some of those principles to get to where I want to be. That's a lot of what I had to do when I first started selling. I was like, but I don't, all the sales trainers were trying to push all these material objects on me that I should want to be like that. And I didn't want to be like that. So I resisted learning for a long time. And then I was finally like, taking bits and pieces of it and putting it together in a way that was authentic and was really there to help the customer. And ultimately, the more you're there to help the customer, they see it clear as day and then they want to help you. That's what it comes down to. It's not these pushy techniques and all that. Let's please put those to rest. Gosh. And that's what the Sales Launch Code is all about. It's all about that formula that we put together, taking those pieces and creating your own definition of success, creating your own sales strategy. I'm showing you how to fish. I'm not giving you the fish, right? I'm teaching you how to break apart these pieces and build your own strategy inside the code. So it's more difficult than other sales courses. I get that, but I'm here. So make sure that you use me when we have those individual, those times together in your group calls. All right, I'm going to call it a day. Make sure you take accountability for your numbers this week and that you're staying on track. And I will see you next week. Have a great day. Bye. It's the Monday Morning Motivator with Magoch.